Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Dirt 3. Let's continue this race. We're at the end here with the different tournaments for each style of driving. That's what we're doing right now is the rally tournament. Which I honestly thought that was going to be this entire game, or at least much closer to 80% of the game was going to be rally races. And if that had been the case, then it would have demanded a lot more tracks. I suppose their approach on it really makes just a different game than what I would expect if I was in charge, if I was the person who is producing this game. Because I would have said, well, this is a rally game. We're going to do a bunch of rally races. To do a bunch of rally races, we've got to have a bunch of different locations and tracks, or not as much locations as just tracks, but the tracks need to be unique enough and diverse enough that it doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. And instead of doing that, the real creators of Dirt 3 seem to be like, nah, we'll just have 6 tracks. And so it really comes to a head when we're doing this rally tournament, and we're doing 4. I don't think I can recover from that one. We're doing like 4 races as the tournament. It's not even that different from what we have been doing any of the other tournaments. Like, I would have at the very least thought there would have been 6 or 5 races in the final tournament. Something that makes it a little bit longer. I don't even know if I'm going to get first place here. This bobsled track in particular was very snowy and curvy. And I'm not doing the greatest job. Although it doesn't really even matter. All I have to do is get a podium. We've gotten first on, I believe, every other tournament, but does it really matter if I get second here at the end? No. It'll still give me the 50 points as long as I get a podium of some sort. And we never even figured out if podium meant 3rd place or 4th place. I think it may be 4th. So incredibly easy. Now, I will say this race in particular, even playing on casual, is kind of treacherous. There's slick, snowy roads, and grip is low. But we never really changed the car either. So if the game itself is automatically adjusting the settings of cars, it's not mentioning it except
awesome.
for a couple times.
You gotta show that to the world. Put it on YouTube.
I'm constantly telling you to put it on YouTube, like that's a big selling point. I mean, and frankly, that was just built into the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. So it's Codemasters, the makers of this game, saying, look at our amazing feature that we didn't really make at all. Use this amazing feature that Microsoft and Sony put in for us. We don't really have to do anything here at all. They do have to do a few things, sort of. I think if you don't do anything, the way it works is you can stream just any amount of time. There's like a hard limit on time to YouTube, or you can stream it live and just constantly go. Maybe that's also something you can do. And the only thing is, I know some games can in certain cutscenes and that certain, or just in total for the entire game, say you can't stream it, which companies are getting better about that, about being paranoid about people putting things on YouTube, but some companies still are very much crazy about it and say no footage whatsoever. And ironically, it's almost always big companies that make moderately good games that block things from being streamed to YouTube directly from a console, or do content IDs and copyright blocks.
40. Keep left over crest. Onto gravel. Medium right into medium left.
I have one video I'm trying to deal with right now where as soon as it gets uploaded, it gets muted.
Medium left onto tarmac. Hard right.
Then they drop the copyright claim, and yet I can't now unmute it. So I've got this video that's completely silent for the entire duration of the video, even though they're only claiming a minute of a 30-minute long video. Relative, they somehow have the claim. Somehow YouTube lets them mute the entire video.
Easy left, cut. Crest, jump, medium left into medium right long.
Which doesn't make any sense, and it's one of the many problems with the content ID system on Google is that it allows anybody and everybody to ruin a video that I spend hard work on at any time. Seriously.
Crest, jump into medium left, cut over
what is
narrow
going
bridge.
on today?
40, hard left, cut.
Well, I've already gotten first place in 3 races. So if you're in first place in 3 places, then you already, you're practically guaranteed first place anyways. I imagine Ken Block is the person I have to beat, because if I made it in 8th place and Ken Block made it in first place, I would get 2nd place. But anything above 8th place, and then I should still get first place. Man, somebody's crashing cars like crazy. They had an extra element there because of the car damage. They could have made a whole other set of races that were just covered in broken cars, and then, like a weather element, you could just say, I don't know what you would call it, a dangerous track or safety run.
Yes, that's what we're looking for. Just keep that up all the way to the final.
Yeah, glad to see you not letting your nerves get the better of you. That was a great finish.
So that's first place in Ultimate Rally, and that means we're not going to do any more rally races. Probably. Maybe there's a final on the Ultimate Tournaments, but I don't know.
You're DC's biggest star now. They're desperate for you to be in their latest challenge.
So speedrun 3 I think I can do, and then 50 more points to unlock this, which is, I assume, the actual end, and then 100 points to unlock this, which I think is the DLC thing. If it isn't, well then there is no DLC thing here at the end. And now we go to Rally X, and there's just 4 races. Just pick whatever car we want, and we'll start moving through this. And we're racing to be done with this racing game.
Okay, keep it smooth and steady, just like the last race.
And those last 2 races that we did this recording did have less grip, but no huge culmination of something really long or really difficult. I'm on casual, everything's on. Still, vehicle setup does get changed every now and then, but they don't even tell you about it. I guess they mentioned it at the beginning of the game and they decided to stop mentioning it. The game could really use an icon that said something like custom setup next to it. That way you know you're not just driving with the default setup of your car. And that entire element is something that we're not really playing with at all because we're playing on casual. There's so much of this game that you're missing out on casual. You see, recently I was listening to Total Biscuit, and he was talking about the idea of, in story-based game, having a no gameplay mode at all. Something where it would just show you all the cutscenes instead of people going to YouTube and just watching all the cutscenes added together, which, by the way, unless you're commenting on there, clearly that's copyright infringement if you're just putting all the cutscenes and not adding anything to it, any commentary or educational information that you're adding. But having that directly in the game, and the concept's not terrible. I would say that you probably would want to also just record somebody play a game, have a speed run through the game, so you actually saw the gameplay elements happen too, in a fast but not glitchy, not cheating type of speed run. Just somebody play the game, and then you could sit there and watch the actions happen. Depending on the game, that's important. In something like StarCraft, it would probably be less helpful than something like Dishonored, because when you talk about something like Dishonored, half of the story plays out in game engine versus a cutscene, a true proper cutscene. So the idea is interesting, and it makes a lot of sense to have a new market, the girlfriend market, the little brother market, the person who's on the couch next to you that doesn't play video games but likes to watch. However, in this example of DiRT 3, imagine that the casual mode that we're playing on there became similar to that no gameplay mode in all games. It really wouldn't work. Imagine if I wasn't pressing any controls right now, and that doesn't really add too much to the gameplay of this game because there are no cutscenes, but furthermore, it just creates a wider gap than what we already have, which is an extremely wide gap between casual and intermediate mode. And the one thing about that idea that I don't think you would want to happen, one unintended consequences, is that lazy programmers would make casual a no gameplay mode, and then the next highest difficulty might be something like intermediate on DiRT 3. It might be too difficult for the average game player. So it might very well force a game player like me, who's not great but can play the game, into not playing the game. And inherently, we just need, if there was a no gameplay mode, we need a no gameplay mode. We need easy, medium, hard, very hard, extremely hard. Like, I think a minimum of 5 difficulties might suit most games on top of a casual, instead of more of a, what we have here is 3 difficulties, or sometimes we have 3 difficulties and then we have extremely crazy difficulties that are like one-hit kills. And that's fine too. That would be the opposite of the casual mode, is the one-hit kill mode, which some games are like that. Some games are not programmed well enough for that to make any sense, because there's plenty of games out there where you will just take damage and it's not your fault at all. And that's what the life bar originally was designed for, is to hide the fact the game was programmed badly. Like, if there was a no gameplay mode in this game in particular, you'd still not really enjoy this game. I wouldn't, because if you're watching this video right now, you're watching somebody play these races, and is it an amazingly thrilling race? No, not really. It's just going in loops and laps on this track in particular is particularly boring, because you're just going in circles. So, yeah. This game desperately needs story, but not just because it needs a story mode. It needs story so that there's more of a commitment and a reason why you want to do the races. Do something just like kind of simplistic and predictable. You don't have to make it an amazing story. You could, like, you're racing to send your little brother off to college to pay his tuition. Simple. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be that you need, your mother's dying and you need medicine. It doesn't have to be that your girlfriend's been kidnapped by the Yakuza and you have to race to give them $1 million. It doesn't have to be crazy. Just give some reason. Some reason other than you're just racing, and that's it. We have the voice acting of the 4 character assistants, but they don't bother to animate those people at all, which is silly. But I suspect the Codemasters team that makes this game doesn't know how to animate people, because they don't do a very great job of animating people on the side. But it would be more of a human connection if you just hired a character designer to make even a few stills of your team, just so that they popped up on screen. I mean, maybe you don't even have to hire an animator. Maybe you just take a picture of the actual voice actors and use their likeness. Just say, look, we're gonna take some pictures of you. You're gonna stand in front of a green screen. You're gonna have some interesting fashion things. We're gonna have the whole team together holding up a first place trophy. Put some humans in this game, because humans relate to humans. I don't think the amount of people that relate to cars more than humans is large enough to sell a racing game. And see, when it comes down to it, the game just reeks of laziness in many places. And what's the difference between Rally and Rally X? Well, Rally X is not times, it's position races, and the Rally X tracks are more circular, it seems, instead of lengthwise, just an A to B race, so you go in circles on Rally X. You don't have a co-driver, but it seems like you probably are still driving rally cars instead of a change to trucks or buggies or something like this. And it seems like you still are somewhat working around the concept of having different styles of ground. We've never had a racetrack that was 100% paved road, which, I mean, that should have been easy to do. A simple test track circle where you can just go straight and see how fast you can get 0 to 60 easily. And there should definitely be a mission where you do that just to test out cars and play with them. And there should be a race where you can go in circles and just see if you can get the top speed and do cornering on regular road at top speed. That would certainly help with understanding and figuring out how fast you really should be going in the curve. For example, there I got up to 107, and then the corner braking turned it down to 40 miles per hour. So that's a vast difference, and it brakes in such an unnatural and unrealistic way that forces you to learn nothing. There really should be a tutorial race where it just shows you, it just stops you every time you go into a corner too fast. Like, it says, it turns off all the assists and all the brakings, and says, look, for the real world, you can't go into a curve going 100 miles per hour. The math just doesn't work out at all. You see, for most of those 3 laps, I was in first place. So let's just continue, or are we done? Is it gonna load another race? I thought there was 4 races. I can't help but feel like that we're still missing out on 1 or 2 styles of tracks that you could do on Rally X for just a random assortment. And styles of tracks, by that I mean locations, because every location seems to have at least 3 pretty distinct tracks. Now, I don't know if there would have been a way to connect all of the tracks in the location for one long race. That's what we probably should be seeing here, and maybe that's what we'll see in the ultimate final, is just we will go through every single square inch of road in every location once for a really, really long race. But if it doesn't, that seems kind of like a waste, and it continuously proves that they aren't really building anything. There is also a great argument that if they could make really, really short races at the beginning and work their way up to longer races, that would have been helpful. And they've sort of done that, but not really. Like maybe the races now are 2.5 miles long because you go 5 laps instead of 3 laps, but at the beginning the races were still a mile long. It's ridiculous. Putting this game in a simulator of sorts and allowing you to do just sections of a race would be helpful to practice instead of doing an entire race. So doing maybe just one split at the very beginning and saying, look, we need you to, in this split, reach this time. Can you do it? And then the next part would be the next piece of the split. A lot more than even like Assassin's Creed, where that game is in the simulator. If anything, Assassin's Creed never actually needed to be in a simulator to begin with. They were just telling a story that was kind of ridiculous through that storytelling device. Where a game like this, where you really would like to break down the actions and train the player step by step, could benefit better from that. And you don't really have to explain it story-wise. It can just be in the menu as an option. But having us start with the entire race loses focus on what you're supposed to learn in that first race. And you really don't learn anything in the first race. You really don't learn anything in the game at all. We just did the Ultimate Rally Tournament. I still don't know at all what half the things they say the co-pilot says. I mean, I don't know what a left 40 means. I can assume maybe that's 40 degrees, but I don't know. And then when he says left 40 60, what does that mean? Is that a 60-degree angle the other direction? Or is that another 60-degree angle the same way? So have I done 100 in the course of 2 lefts? And even if I can break down and figure out what those things mean, I don't know what to do with that information. And I haven't needed any of that information. All I've had to do is follow the green line on casual.
What an amazing finish! I'm speechless.
Well, that's a first. Had to wait for the Super Series, but I guess it's better late than never.
See, so why not right then when they're gonna talk, throw them on the screen, just on the sides? Why not do that? Why not have us actually see who's talking? Like, we don't need a full video. It could just be an animated cardboard cutout. It could be just a picture. Still not getting any real fanfare for getting first place either.
You've been invited to compete in the final challenge event of the season.
Don't start ignoring your driver rep now.
So they're putting Speedrun 3 and Speedrun 4 right next to each other. Interesting. And let's see. If it takes me 2 more recordings to do this, like, to maybe 1 more recording to do these 2, and then 2 more recordings to do these, we'd still have that, wouldn't we? So we really don't have time to squeeze in the speed run, even though it would probably be pretty short. And there's really nothing else to see unless something else unlocks. So we're getting close to the end. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.